Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Soulful Eclectic. I am your host, Dr. Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you to today's episode. If you are just joining us for the very first time, well, welcome. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. I thoroughly appreciate that. If you are returning, well, welcome back, welcome back, and welcome back. Thank you for taking the time out to come back. I know I appreciate you all. I know I keep telling you that it's the reason I come on is to sit and chat with you all. And I appreciate you all taking the time, even if I'm background noise in the back. I appreciate that you want me to be the noise that you're hearing in the background. And I hope some of the things that we're talking about and I talk about when I'm by myself or with a guest, that it's something that resonates with you and or your family, or something that your heart needs at the moment or your mind needs at the moment. So I thank you so much for taking the time out not only to be a part of the conversation, because some of you do reach out to me and send out messages, send me emails, inbox me, all those great things, but also you share the information. And I hope the information is very helpful to you, your family, friends, whomever you are sharing it with, whoever needs it at that moment. So I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. So with that being said, I want to also thank some of my lovely sponsors who are so gracious to be a part of the Soulful Eclectic and the Soulful Eclectic family. So let's start off with our dear friends from Divine Nubian Essentials. So if you guys have not tried Divine Nubian Essentials, I'm going to say, you know what, give it a try. I don't know what you're waiting for. My skin, I mean, look at me. I don't have on makeup, guys. There's no makeup here. And Divine Nubian Essentials really helps keep my skin healthy. I am one of those people that grew up with really bad acne. And so Divine Nubian Essentials is an all-natural hair and skincare product that helps you just continue to love the skin you're in and love your hair. I mean, let's just face it, my hair has been the greatest since I started using Divine Nubian Essentials products. So thank you so much to Divine Nubian Essentials. We have both men and women who can use this. And it doesn't matter what walk of life, what color your skin is. Please do your due diligence. Look at the ingredients and see if you are allergic to anything that's in there, because it is made with almond and all natural herbs and plants and things like that. So please check the allergies before you just lather yourself up. And we do have some special stuff for our men and as well. So to help care for those beards, guys, and for your scalp. So definitely have your own line. So thank you so much for Collins Education Resource Management. And we also have, Divine Nubian Essentials. Now we have Collins Education Resource Management. I just went to the next one without even skipping a beat. Collins Education Resource Management is that resource place that is there for you if you are if you have a student that is struggling in a healthcare career in academia. Please reach out. Even if you're already in practice, they are very helpful in honing in on your skills and elevating your expertise. So who doesn't need that? They do group tutoring, and also NCLEX prep. That's your final exam. I call it your final exam. That's not, and honestly, it's not your final exam, because it all really depends if you continue on. They also do some nurse practitioner preparation as well. And they also go out into the community to do speaking engagements, workshops, and lectures, and in churches, what else? Community centers, so forth and so on. So please reach out to them should you need anything. And we love to share with everyone my book, Reset and Relaunch by Becoming. I wrote a chapter in this book, and I appreciate all of you who have purchased a copy. I have some more of the last batch that's still here. I had to reorder from the last one. So there's still some copies available. So please do, I don't know, what do I want to say? I don't want to say do your due diligence, because that's not correct. But if you're looking for a new read, and something that's going to elevate you and uplift you and maybe give you some insight on how to navigate a challenging situation, reset and relaunch by becoming. Maybe that tool is written by 40 authors who talk about their beginnings, their resets, and their becomings as they continue to become the leaders in the community that they are. So thank you to all of you for being a part of the Soulful Eclectic. If you would like to be a sponsor, please reach out. We will be happy to add you to our sponsor list. And, ooh, that was a mouthful. I'm going to take a drink on that. Ooh, child. Okay. So today, I know I said I was not going to talk about anything political, and I do try. Once in a while, some things slip out, and I just can't help it. It really does. You really cannot navigate today's society, what we have to live through day to day, just in our conversations without touching something that is political. By me being a woman, I'm invested politically. By me being of African descent, I am invested. And then by all means, by me being an American citizen, I am, invested. So therefore, there is no way to get around that. And so I'm just going to talk about it, a little bit about it today, only because of the fact that it is so prevalent in my profession. And I actually wanted to talk about it today because I had this conversation with my husband, who, as you all know, is a family nurse practitioner as well. And he is out in the community doing palliative care. So he goes into individuals' homes and have to deliver medical care. And so it's with him that I've had this conversation, and I've been a part of this for some time, and so has he. But we're starting to see it a bit more. And I just want to talk a little bit about it. So today we're going to talk about, what did I name it? Turned away. Turned away when race becomes a barrier, right? Turned away when race becomes a barrier. And it deals with a very painful but a very common experience that most of us who are of the Black and Brown race have dealt with and continues to deal with. And at one point, it was a little bit covert, it's undercover, not really out there. People hit it a little bit more. But with today's political climate, it is more overt. So we have the people who are termed the Karens, and I do apologize for those of you who actually have the name Karen. That person that is named Karen just made it difficult for everyone else. But the term is still out there where they call individuals Karens, and I think the other one is Kevin. I think I've heard that one. So the husbands of, or the male versions of the Karen is called the Kevin. And again, I do apologize for those of you who are out there named Kevin. I know some nice Kevins, but this is what it is. So so there's that, right? They're called the Karens and the Kevins of the world. So which made the racism or hostility towards a race and the bias a little bit more overt, meaning it's in your face. They don't care. What are you going to do about it? Kind of thing. You're almost challenged to what your reaction will be. Basically, is the way I feel. Like it's a challenge. Yeah, I'm going to do this. So what are you going to do about it? Yeah, I said it. What are you going to do about it? Right. But the thing is, they don't realize that we are, as a people, as a community, as a race, we're tired. Okay, we're tired of the BS. We're tired of having to fight for positions. We're tired of having to do 10 times the work just to be accepted into the workplace. And honestly, we're done. We're done. I think I heard on my news feed or my Instagram feed, excuse me, where somebody said, for us as Black people, as Black and brown, just take a break. Stop working so hard. Stop being the extra just to be accepted in the different things that we do. So that to me goes back to being your authentic self. I know we were raised, especially Gen Xers, were raised to work 10 times harder than our counterparts not of color, just to get the job done and to show that we are worthy to be there. And yet we are more qualified than our person of non-color to be there, but yet we have to work 20 times harder to prove our worth. So this is a couple of things that this is the conversation that I've had, and some of the things that my husband and I and friends of mine have discussed. And so we're going to just talk about it because, again, now in today's political climate, it's slapping us in our face, you know, and I don't even say pretty much because it is. Every day you have something, and even today's, I feel like I'm worried more about my husband going out. And I think I mentioned this before in so many seasons back. But I believe I mentioned this before, where I'm really concerned about him going out here and showing up as his authentic self to take care of people and being challenged, just driving around. You know, again, driving while Black is still really a real thing. It's never gone away. And I think it's just, like I said, it's gotten worse. So I believe our state is turned into a police state in that I don't know, everything you do is up for debate, it's up for shut down, it's up for, I don't even know what I want to say with that. It's just up. It's just up for something. But yeah, so today, being turned away based on race. So I will just really talk about a personal story of mine. And I don't know if anyone has ever experienced it. Maybe you have, I'm not sure. But this week is Nurses Week. We're coming up towards the end of Nurses Week. And so happy Nurses Week to all of my nurses who are out there putting forth your best, being your altruistic self while taking care of your patients. Again, I want to share with you all, stop giving from your cup, overflow that cup, and whatever the overflow is, that's what's given out to people. If you need to, practice self-care. Self-care is not selfish. It keeps our cup full so that we're able to continue to go out and give our best care to our patients. With that being said, I will share a few, I'm sure I'm going to share more, but one story for me that sticks out, that's a real experience of being turned away based on my race, is a nursing experience. And by it being Nurses Week, which is why I said thank you to all my nurses, my nurse colleagues, brothers and sisters in nursing. It's really hard because you go into this job of healthcare to care for other people. At least many of us do. There are some of us who go into this job, and we're seeing this now to be malicious. Okay, they are groomed to go in and continue the systemic racism. They're groomed to go in and continue the bias and pretty much plucking us off, killing us one by one, and sometimes in new groups, depending on where they work. So there are some of us, some nurses, when I say us, I mean nurses, that go into this job and profession to do that. They're groomed to do that very thing, continue that hateful part of them in life. So I'm not talking about them, right now. I'm talking about those of us who go in it with the altruistic heart to genuinely help other people. That's the reason why I went into nursing. I truly wanted to help people. It wasn't about a paycheck. For those of you who go into nursing or healthcare for a paycheck, you're going to get burned out really fast because you have to do it with something else other than finances to be your driving force. I went into it because I truly care about human beings. I am a total empath. I feel, I understand, I am sympathetic, empathetic to all things that breathes. Okay, even down to the little insect. As much as I don't want to crush some of them, I do, because I know some of them can cause harm. But anyways, I digress. So in my journey to nursing, in the beginning, even doing home health care, and I share this with everyone, my journey in nursing started from the very, very bottoms. I started let me say this, because I don't consider being a combat medic a bottom. I think that's like up there. But I started as a combat medic, and then in my civilian life, I was a home health aide, a certified nurse's assistant, good Lord, a certified medical assistant. I was a multi-skilled patient care technician in the hospital. And then I went to nursing school to get my RN, and then BSN, Master's in Nurse Education, Master's, Postmasters as a acute care nurse practitioner, and now Doctor in Nursing Practice. So I've seen all the facets of this, and I've cared for several different people from all walks of life, and I do mean all walks of life. So it was very disheartening where I go in to take care of a patient. And I remember this vividly because I'm still to this day like flabbergasted, like, how the heck did you just like remove me? But anyways, I walked into the patient's room, and they were waiting for a while. I didn't know they got to the unit. So I go in, and I'm being me. I'm like, hey, good morning. How you doing? I'm sorry you have to wait. And truthfully, this is how I go into all my rooms. And so she just had this scowl, and she was a person of non-color. Or she was not a person of color, excuse me. All right. So, and so I go in, and she's got this scowl on her face, standing in the corner, and she just looks at me and she says, I don't want you as my brother's nurse. I don't like your attitude. And I was taken back. I was like, whoa, seriously? And I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I just said, good morning. I don't like your attitude. I don't want you as his nurse. And proceeded to report me to my nurse manager, which I was visiting that unit. So my visiting nurse manager, because that wasn't my normal floor I work on, I was floating. And so for those of you who don't know, when you float as a nurse, you go from your home unit to go help or work you're working to go work on another unit because they're short staffed. So I was floating to this unit, and she reported me because she didn't like my attitude. And thank goodness I have a rapport with people, and they know me, and they know my heart. They know who I am, my work ethic, all these things. She called me in the office, and she said, can you tell me what happened? And I said, yeah. I was like, kind of walked in. I was like, hey, I'm sorry you waited so long. I didn't know you before. I'll be your nurse. And she was like, that's it? I was like, yeah, that was it. And she requested another nurse. I was like, so she looked at me. She says, you know what? I'm very sorry. My nurse manager apologized to me. And she was like, you don't need to take care of that patient. And proceeded to give her to somebody else. And I took one of their patients. But that was my experience. That was a hospital acute care setting. Her brother was really ill. And I felt bad. He was special needs individual. And I was really excited to go take care of him. I just love everybody. So it's just like until you give me a reason not to, and believe me, she gave me a reason not to. So yeah, so I just that was so for me. I kept thinking, and as you see, it still affects me today. Like, what the hell did I do to you besides just being me? And I think that was it. And as I have grown in this profession, as I've grown as an individual, I realized that my spirit interrupts their evil. Yeah. And I learned that, and that was reiterated to me today, not today, yesterday, when I was having a conversation with a friend talking about a recent issue that happened. And so I was like, yeah, I think my energy just disrupts their peace. So therefore, there's that. So that's what I took from it. But again, it was definitely a color thing, because she was very nice to the nurse that came in that was not of color. So, right. To me, I feel like it's her loss. She lost out on the best care for her brother. Great. Anyways, so yes. So I was just like really, I was left really confused. I really was. And I mean, and there's other times where I can laugh it off, like when they say, "Oh, you're very articulate. Your mother must be proud." It's like, huh? Ooh, what am I supposed to sound like? So yeah, so there's those moments too, and I've had plenty of those. Plenty of those. I've taken care of patients who have had SWAT stickers on them. One was very nice though, because I actually he was very nice, and I was really surprised that he had that SWAT sticker on him. And so I actually, because he would come in and he was nice. He was one of our patients in the clinic, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, you come in and you talk to me all the time. What's with this, tattoo?" And he was like, "Man, it was a bad joke from a friend on a drunken night." I was like, "Dude, you need to get that covered up. If that's not you, I mean, it just looks bad and it feels bad." But he was able to have that conversation. So that is those are one of my many, many, unfortunately, stories about being turned away based on my race, based on my race. And it's just hurtful, because you just, like I said, you go in wanting to do and doing your best for a person, and you're being judged. So with that, I'll share my what really prompted all of this conversation, right? Because there was a point. Sometimes my points get lost with me talking. Just happens. But the point of it all was because as I started out, I said I am constantly in fear for my husband, who goes out to all neighborhoods. He's in rural areas, he's in the city, he's in the suburbs, he's all over. And he's going up to these patients' houses that have Confederate flags, they're hanging Trump flags, they got them MAGA hats. And now guys, the MAGA hats aren't red, they're black now. So they got black MAGA hats out there. Yes, I know, right? If you're so proud, be proud. But anyways, I digress. I said I wasn't gonna get all political like that. They just so ugly, and I just don't understand in this day and age why you gotta be ugly like that. We just all trying to live our best lives the best we can. I mean, resources are low for everybody, and you just coming out here being nasty. But anyways, I digress. So I started this conversation because he's out there, not saying that I'm not, but he's out there much more than I am. And he's going into these establishments and homes and things like that. He's experiencing it a lot more than me. And my husband is a millennial. Okay. He's a millennial, so a lot of this is a little new. Not that he hasn't experienced it, because we're both military. So being in the military, unfortunately, we still do deal with racism in there, and racism loudly in there. So he goes in and out. So we had this conversation because he had an older client, and he does in geriatric. He deals with geriatrics and palliative care. So with his geriatric patients, it does become a challenge, right? So he comes into the house, and the senior citizen says that he looks like a hoodlum. I was like, honey, I'm sorry. He's so kind. He just does have a heart of gold. And he just told her, okay. He's like, thank you, ma'am. You know, he's very polite, very respectful, as we both are. And he just said, yes, ma'am. Thank you. I am not. I am your nurse practitioner coming to do XYZ, blah, 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 blah. But mind you, he has on his scrubs, he has his badge, he has his bag, he has his laptop, he has all these things. And still, he's had patients, which, again, the reason why we're having this conversation, who refuse his care, which is okay. I tell patients all the time, you have the right to refuse. You have the right. Okay. But his care, he was refused. And so with that, I mean, I would say it's subtle. Racism is very subtle, because they didn't say why they refused care. They just said, oh, I don't want care today, or I'm going to cancel today. And then, but here's the thing, when the back office calls him and they're like, well, why did your patient cancel? And he's like, well, I don't know. You have to ask them, because we don't know why patients cancel. They don't tell us outright why they cancel, even though we can read between the lines and we can see why they cancel. Some cancel rightfully so because they don't feel well, or, you know, have other appointments, so forth and so on. But you have those who rightfully just look you up and down. It's like, yeah, I don't need care today. I'm going to cancel today. So, yeah. So you have that tone of voice, that lack of eye contact, those things that really tell you that, hey, it's about who I am. So those are hard ones, because all he wants to do is go in and take care of people and help people. And, you know, here you are hit with this, we're not letting you in. And that's okay. Again, you have the right to refuse. You have the right to refuse. But today, as I continue to say, is that it's loud. It's louder than it has been for a while, for some time. Now, I know our parents and our grandparents dealt with a lot of this. And to be honest, I really didn't start dealing with this until I was, I heard a lot about it when I was 15. And at 15, I started working at the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. At 15, that was my first job, answering phones, and I had to deal with that then, and, you know, getting called the N-word and what are you doing? So that really was my first introduction, and I have to tell you, it was a shock. I grew up in Brooklyn, where unless I crossed over to certain streets, I really didn't see anyone of non-color. We were either all Hispanic, Black. That I didn't really have engagements with people of non-color, and unless they were like my teachers. And even in my school, that wasn't until high school. Well, I did have a couple of nuns that were not of color, so there's that. But predominantly, probably when I started high school. But going out into the workforce and things like that, I really did not have those kinds of engagements until I was 15. So have that, and then join the Army when I'm 18, having to deal with that where, friends of ours, one of the soldiers was in an interracial relationship, and they were walking back from, we were in Fort Sam, so that's in Texas. And they have like a little club for us called the Hacienda. We go eat and wind down as soldiers, right? So they were walking back from the Hacienda, and a truck full of guys who were not of color threw beer bottles and things at them as they were walking, because he was a person of non-color and she was a person of color. So it's those experiences in the military that we still receive as well. Again, those are all overt experiences, right? And then not until really I worked as home health aide, dealing with those individuals who I'm there to help with their activities of daily living, ADLs, right? Which is getting them dressed, washed. Sometimes I do some cooking or whatever back then when I was a home health aide. But you have some that will treat you like you're straight up their servant. And you had those, I've had those experiences. And then again, when I became a nurse, I really experienced some of those things. So it's really a challenge. And then the biggest thing that drives me, that not that it all doesn't drive me up the wall, but we as nurses do it to each other. That's the big thing too. As providers, as nurses, that backbiting, that horizontal violence, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. We're here to take care of people who are at their worst, and you're sitting here talking bad about a nurse or treating them poorly or thinking they don't have the common sense or the oomph to be there. They don't belong. We really have to stop doing that. It's just enough is enough, kind of thing. So we have those things. But on that note, I'm going to just hold off there before I go on to the next thing, because, I've been talking a minute. So let me just get our commercial break in there. But yeah, so I just really wish we were kinder to each other. Yeah. With that being said, take a break for a minute. Go grab some water.
I would like to welcome you to a show that is called Cruise with Rob C., exclusively on WUBI Ubiquity Radio every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name is Rob C., and while taking your cruise, you will hear the very best in smooth jazz, smooth R&B, classic soul, as well as other genres that definitely define the very essence of smooth. I personally invite you to come aboard, and while you're here, grab your favorite beverage, turn up the volume, and have a seat as we set sail on this musical journey for your listening pleasure. You can find us at WUBI.live, or depending if you have an Apple or Android device, go to your app store and download our free WUBI app. Take care, and as always, enjoy your cruise, y'all.
I am the Disco Bee.
I am the Alpha Male.
I am Benjamin Grimm, and we host
From a Queen's Perspective.
This season, gentlemen,
the host of the Love Jones Cafe.
We are the Love Jones Cafe.
The Love Jones Cafe.
We are the Love Jones Cafe.
Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones. Love Jones.
Hey everyone, Dr. Diana Collins here with The Soulful Eclectic, a podcast about being your authentic self and maintaining your health and wellness, brought to you by Divine Nubian Essentials, Love the Skin You're In, and also Collins Education Resource Management, where healthcare education is our passion. If you're looking for a new read, check out our friend Reggie Dupree in Hoodoo Heaven, Return to Hoodoo, and Mystical Midlife Mate, because everything is happening in Hoodoo, brought to you by WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku or Apple or Google Play, do so right away. The Soulful Eclectic can be found every Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on all your podcast streaming platforms, WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So, see you soon. Namaste. Whew. Hey guys, thank you so much for returning. I appreciate you all so much. And it's interesting, just as I was taking a break to go grab some hydration and things, I got a text message from a friend, and she was just saying that she has an incident with her child. She's a person of color, and she lives in a decent neighborhood. Decent, air quotes there. And her daughter, her children are being harassed, called the N-word as they are walking home from school. Literally just read this in a text message. And I'm like, are you kidding? Now, me personally, that N-word means absolutely nothing to me, because if you want to be ideally correct, we're going to look it up right now, because if you want to, and I feel bad because the word itself has some different meanings in different areas of the world. Let's just put that out there. But when we look at it, it's again a word that has been given to term to us, being Black, being in a derogatory manner, right? It's actually meaning a person who is ignorant, uneducated, right? Yes, it is an uneducated, ignorant person. So to me, the person who is saying it and using it in a derogatory manner, they are the ones that are the N-word, right? Because let's just face it, okay? You have to be downright ignorant and uneducated to refer to anyone in that manner, in my opinion. And I don't embody the word. Okay, I don't. Why? Because I have a doctorate in nursing practice. Let's be honest, if I was ignorant, that would not be. Okay, so no, I'm not a nigger, not in any shape or form. I am me, and I don't answer to it. I don't give it the attention that they want when it's used, right? I don't. And over the years, they have changed, because I'm looking up the word now. They've changed the term, right? So it's infamous word in the current English, so much that when people are called upon it, discuss, right? They are disgusted. Yeah. I don't know. So offensive, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a Black person, used as an insulting and contemptuous term for a member of any dark-skinned race, A member of a class or group of people who are systemically subjected to discrimination and unfair treatment. Okay. Now, when I initially first looked up the word back when it was called to me when I was the age of 15 for the first time, it was there is a widespread belief that the original meaning, which is the original meaning I know of the word nigger, as defined in dictionaries, was an ignorant person, and a related belief that current dictionary definitions describing it used as a hateful racist epithet are a recent change. So it was back in that day used to as saying that the person is ignorant, right? So there was a definition that there, but now with the recent changes of everything, of course, no, there was never it was never meant to mean an ignorant person. Yeah, it was in the dictionary. It was in the dictionary that I grew up with. Okay, let me just say that. Anyways, so I again, I digress, as I tend to do. I apologize. But yeah, so now we're seeing again, it's more overt with all of this, and now we're back to the days of our parents where they're being called. Excuse me. People are being called out of their names. Our children are being called out of their names. The discrimination is just going back to the days of Jim Crow. As you can see, they're removing information and things like that from internet. They're erasing us. They're erasing us. They're trying to erase us. Let me just say that. They're trying. So racism back then wasn't always loud. I mean, to me, it was always loud. If you did not see it, it's because you were closing your eyes to it. So I believe it was always loud. Some people say it was, a little bit covert. But for many of us who experienced it, it was very overt. It was seen in the tone of voice, in the change of mannerism, and how one person greeted a person of non-color versus somebody who came in of color. It has happened, and I've called people on it, and not being rude or disrespectful. I see some. I'm just want to say a cashier. I see a cashier, and she's having a conversation, and she's pleasant to the person of non-color in front of me. Comes to me, whole demeanor changes. What can I do for you? And I'm just the person that I am. I'm my mother's child. And a beautiful mother she is. I am my aunts and nieces, and so here we are. I'm going to say, wow, are you having a bad day? Is everything okay? How are you feeling today? Listen, if I don't need that energy, I don't need to absorb that energy, so I'm going to turn it. And they're like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, oh, well, it just kind of, okay. I just want to know if you were doing okay. You having a good day. I'm having an amazing day, and I feel amazing, and I am amazing, damn it. Okay. So that's just the way I approach things. Because people are going to be people, and no matter what and who we are, if it's ingrained in their DNA to dislike you, then they're going to dislike you. Okay. And I just am at that big stage in my life where, I don't care if you like me or not. I am for you or not for you. It's just, that's okay. But again, enough is enough. We've had this. I mean, we're seeing we've seen racism in education when teachers are rearing our children, and now you're bringing discipline back into the classroom. And all you're going to be doing is beating and disciplining patients, children of color. and no, we're back to square one. As much as I try to keep quiet, I really can't, because it's just, I see the redlining coming back. I see the segregation in hospitals. And some people, even people of color, are like, well, maybe we need to bring it back. But no, remember when we did have our own, that history that they're trying to erase? Tulsa, Black Wall Street. We had our own neighborhood. Goodness, you can't tell me they didn't just burn down Altadena. All of a sudden, a city that's been there in California for. God has a lot of acts, okay? Burning down half of Hawaii. Come on. Okay, so I did get on my soapbox today, because all we want to do is live and be ourselves. So I get and understand the argument that I've heard being debated back and forth, how maybe we should go back to redlining and segregating and having our Black owned spaces and white owned spaces. You know what? I don't agree with that, because we tried that. We did. When we just wanted we just want to be left alone. We created our own spaces. We were educating our own children, feeding ourselves, creating our own revenue. What did they come do? They came and burned it down. They flooded it. It's under a lake, Lake Lanier, right? It's history repeating itself all over again. Come on. So it's just like that, those kinds of things. And then now you're adding the other part of it, right? Intersectionality. How we have a race that, also our identities, right? So in case anyone doesn't know or does not recall what intersectionality is, let me help you out. All right, so intersectionality. So yes, it deals with, what do I want to say? Gender, sexual orientation, disability. So a lot of the things we were talking about with DEI, right? And I know a lot of people feel like DEI has to do with those of us of color only. No. When we talk about intersectionality, that's the interconnected nature of social categorization, such as the race, the class, and gender and sexuality, and that is applied to a certain group, which in creating it overlapping and interdependent systems of discrimination and disadvantage, right? So we're further digging into this intersectionality that we have. And it also goes into the social determinants of health, right? Because I started out talking about healthcare issues and how we are in health and wellness and being our authentic self and taking care of patients and things like that. So I'm not sure if anyone is aware of Healthy People 2030. Now, I want to share it with you before it disappears, because believe me, I'm still surprised it's still up there, because it just might disappear on us. Who knows? But I'm going to share, and so that you guys can see what I'm talking about with Healthy People 2030. So Healthy People 2030, and you can type this in. It's actually, if you go Healthy People 2030, you can see all these things, and it's put up there by the CDC, and it talks about the social determinants of health, and who's affected, who's living in those healthcare deserts and food deserts, and who's at the mercies of socioeconomic decrease, demise, all those lovely words. Talks about discrimination and violence, language and literacy, all these things. So if you have not please peruse through that, because it is helpful to one, understanding what it is that is happening to our society as Americans, as people of color, Black and brown, as marginalized communities are being affected. And when in marginalized communities, it's not just those of us in the Black and brown communities. Those are those individuals who are elderly. There are in the marginalized community those individuals who are houseless, homeless, who, however you want to say it, homeless, houseless, without whatever term you want to use. Those individuals. All right. So definitely I would suggest that you do your due diligence and just kind of peruse through to see how you can help, or just to educate yourself on the social determinants of health and that are in your community. Anyways, so yes. But all of these things that we are discussing and we're doing and that it is impacting our mental and physical health. It really is. We have more individuals who are committing suicide of all races, okay? Because even persons of non-color are, our allies are they had enough. We all had enough. So as much as I would love to take a back seat for us as women and just watch all this play out, I can't. I had to say something today. So maybe this might be the first and last time I really get on this soapbox, but I had to say something because it's really impacting our lives. Like I don't want to, I felt it for real teaching this last semester, couple of this not this one, but the semester before, where now we have the children of these individuals who want to bring us back into the field are in my classroom. And I feel it is because I feel like it was a challenge. And I don't want to say I feel like it was a challenge. It was a challenge. It was a challenge to teach them and to have a conversation with them and to, because they always look for something to be wrong, right? They always look for me to make a mistake. And when I did, it was like, oh, I looked it up on Google and this is what this says. And it's like, okay. So it's like, it was always a challenge. And so with that, it did play on my mental and physical health. It was anxiety producing, right? It really was, because I really didn't want to go in and teach them. I really felt like, hey, go ahead, do what you need to do, because no matter what I say in front of this classroom, you're not listening. You're not listening. So that was my challenge this year. And so I don't know. I think it's just, for those of us of color, Black and brown in the community, it's really anxiety producing to be an educator. It's an anxiety producing to be a healthcare provider. It's anxiety producing to do anything. My husband stresses just to go to work. And he's a Black man. So, being a Black man going into somebody, walking onto their step. We've seen the news. People have been shot. That is my true fear. Man, I don't think, as much as people of non-color want to say we understand and we get it, you really don't. You really don't. You don't have that fear for your sons and daughters when they go out, your husbands when they're out in the community. Y'all don't have that fear. Y'all claim y'all have that fear, and you understand, but I don't. You really don't. And then I don't know, gosh, I'm just, I'm getting myself all worked up because I just want people to be loving and kind to one another. That's all I want to do. I want to just live. I want to be able to just embrace. And I have friends. I have great friends, and not just one. Like some people say, "Oh, I have a Black friend." No. Mhm. I have some really, really great people of non-color in my corner, and we've had these conversations, and they say, "No, I don't know what it's like," and and sometimes I have to, I don't know. I share my feelings, but I don't think again, no one truly understands. No one truly understands. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. So my goal is to lift our voices to those of us in those marginalized community. Keep speaking out, keep voicing what it is that we are not going to tolerate, because it's true, we're just not going to tolerate it. Continue to hold our politicians accountable to change. And I know right now that's a hard one, because the biggest one in office is doing the biggest changes. He's changing everything to trying to get rid of us altogether. And now I just saw that you're going to deport anyone. They just passed that you can deport anyone who is a U.S. citizen. Where are you deporting them to? Please, because if you want to dig down in our history, we're all able to be deported, because we all don't belong here unless you are indigenous. Just saying. And I know they're going to just like, oh, yes, unless you're indigenous, we all are implants to this country. Just saying. But I just want to just throw that out there and invite anyone to have a conversation with me if you would like. Because again, these are real concerns that are out there. The system is severely broken. And there were times where we were on the verge of fixing it. But now they just, it's like a kid with a toy, and your mom or dad just fixed the toy, right? And says, here, go ahead and go play. And you come back and you got pieces again because you broke it again because you thought you could do it better. But here now, you, instead of having 3 pieces, now you have 15 different pieces, because now you broke it even worse than what it was broken the first time. So I feel like that's where we are right now. So the best thing we can do for ourselves is to just keep ourselves lifted. I have my manifesting t-shirt on. Keep manifesting for hope, and keep praying that, I don't know, that it gets better. It gets better. And I know a lot of people say it has to get worse before it gets better. I mean, I don't want it to get worse. I don't want to know how much worse. I don't. This is worse. This is worse. So what are we doing? I encourage you guys to share your stories, support one another, and don't be silent. Let's speak about it. Let's speak about it. Let's speak about social justice, racial justice, equity. And yeah, we are all worth it. And when we look at it at the end of the day, let me just remind you that your worth is not defined by the ignorance or the bias of others. It's not. And that's something that I had to remind myself. Right? My worth is not defined by the ignorance or bias of others. And I'm not responsible for the version of me that lives in your brain, because you look at me and you want to deem me a hoodlum or indigent or uneducated. That's your perception of me. I am not responsible for that. And just know, for all of us, we are not the problem. We are not. The system is the problem. We're not the problem. The system is the problem. And, all these changes that they're doing is just hurting us and breaking us down. And they're making us focus on things that are irrelevant. But we need to refocus ourselves and bring it back, because they're taking us back to a time where none of us want to go back to. None of us in our right minds, anyway. None of us in our right minds. With that, I'm going to leave it at that, because I think I'm just going to keep going. And I've been on a soapbox for about an hour. And I know y'all tired of hearing me. So with that, I'm going to say, please continue to take care of yourself and each other. Do not continue to give from your cup. The overflow is what you're supposed to be giving to others. So continue to take care of yourself and each other. Namaste.